And welcome to another episode of 50 Shades and Grey, where I'm very pleased to have with me today off My Mum, Your Dad. And one of the stars for me off My Mum, Your Dad, I'm going to add, is Andy Pearce. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks, Elliot. Nice to meet you. How are you? All right?
Very good. Now we're going to go straight into it because we've been speaking across Instagram, and obviously you're on My Mum, Your Dad at the moment. The show's great, but what I want to find out today is not about the show, the ins and outs of the shows and who's with who. Not interested in that. All I'm interested in, and I think everyone else will be interested in, about you. So tell us a bit about you, Andy.
Well, I've been single about 3 years now, and probably the last year I've really started thinking about dating, just because my daughters were getting to an age. My elder daughter's in a serious relationship and spends a lot of time with her boyfriend. My elder daughter reached 16 this summer and has become very independent, and the needs that they had for me had lessened, so I had more free time. Also, with their maturity, I felt I could speak to them a little bit more and tell them that, you know, I wanted to go out on dates. I'd always kept that secret from them. And also my personal demands. I've been looking after my parents. Sadly, my dad had passed. I'm still looking after my mom, but it freed up a little bit more time for me. And I thought, as I came to terms with the loss, I needed and felt I had time to welcome someone into my life a little bit more. So the last year I've started dipping my toe into the dating pool, both organically with people I know, and also I tried a little bit of online dating and just trying to find the right person, really.
So I'm sorry for your loss, by the way, Andy. My condolences. What you said, I thought what was quite interesting, what you said before that, you kept a lot. So was you dating before that when your daughters were of an age where you wanted to keep it away from them?
Not so much, but maybe in the last year, but I felt very uncomfortable. I mean, obviously until Izzy's reached an age with her boyfriend, Chloe's at home with me all the time. So I don't want her, rightly or wrongly, to hear, oh, I'm going out on Saturday to meet a girl. I'd rather tell her I'm going out with friends or whatever, because she was younger and I didn't perhaps want her to feel also an insecurity that perhaps she is obviously the apple of my eye. Both daughters are, and I was worried that with only me sort of constant in her life, if I met a girl and I wasn't there for her and I didn't have that focus on just her, it might make her feel a little bit vulnerable, and both of them, because teenage girls need, you know, it's a very awkward time with hormones and external pressures, and I felt I really needed to have them feel that they were just the focal points of my life. I was there for them consistently. So if I was going out on dates and perhaps meeting anyone, I didn't want them to feel that that relationship was challenged, you know. So if I did go on the odd date, it would be very infrequent because I never had much time. And as we were discussing briefly before, I think a lot of ladies rightly want to feel that they're loved and they're appreciated and they're sort of self-worth and you're invested in them. And sadly, I wasn't able to do that really, because if I could see them once, twice a month, that was it. And I think that was perhaps misread as a lack of interest in them, or even perhaps they probably thought I was seeing someone else or whatever. So it was very complicated, really. But one thing that has changed, perhaps even as a result of this experience as well, and over the last few months with my change of mindset, discussing going on the show with my kids, is I've been more open about that side of things, you know. So I'm now at a stage where, rather than sort of, I suppose, secretly looking to find a girlfriend and whatever, now it's something that they're invested in as well, and we're all embracing together. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's very different, I think, to a lot of men and ladies, because when you usually separate, you're sharing the responsibility of the kids. So you get, you know, a few weeks in the summer holidays, you get every other weekend free, nights in the week, so forth, to go out for meals. I haven't really got that, you know. So, and when they were younger, I couldn't go out and leave them. As I say, my parents were both ill, so that opportunity of having people there. And indeed, whilst I was in the house, Chloe was sort of living with her best friend's family, which she loved, because I've gone there now. She likes one of her best friend's brothers. I shouldn't have said that on here. Hopefully she'll never watch.
I'll take that out. Don't worry about that, mate. It's unless you want me to leave it in, that might help the situation along.
Oh, leave it in, mate. She'll never watch it. She doesn't even watch the show.
It's really interesting you say that, because I think that situation that you had will resonate with a lot of people, albeit in terms of usually it's the other way around. It's the female that has the majority of time with the children. They probably find a lot of things that you said there that are difficult to manage because you can only go out on odd days, and had exactly the same situation as I said to you. Is that growing up? I spent time, and this is what I asked you the question the other day. Have you looked back and thought, do you know what? I met some great people, but I just couldn't give them what they needed at that time.
Yeah, very much so. And you know what, though? I don't regret it in any way, because when my dad was really ill and my mom and the kids needed me, gosh, that was so much more important than developing a relationship, which could have been great, or it could have crashed and burned. And at the time, I was, she's nice. I'd like to get to know her. But as I say, I couldn't invest in anyone sufficiently for them to feel any relationship build, and my priorities were placed elsewhere. That's, as I say, sort of slowly changed. Hence, looking out to date again, going on the show, and changing, as I say, my outlook really.
Yeah, I found from that experience, and it was just nice. And this is what's nice about this, is just talking to people who understand it. Because I don't know about you, but I've got all my friends around me are all either married or with people. So, and they haven't been single when they're older. Have you found that? Have you got friends that are in the same situation as you, or?
Yeah, I mean, most of my friends are married who are in relationships. So, their time is limited, and those friends that are single, respectfully, they probably haven't got, and maybe this is having daughters rather than lads, their escapism is, let's go out and meet a girl, let's go to the pub, blah, blah, blah. And, that's something that I think will make you worse in some ways,
Yeah.
So the sort of chats that you and I are having, and that have become more norm for men to have, are invaluable, because you don't really get that depth of conversation just by going out drinking or doing it. And it's crucial, and I haven't been able to do that because I didn't want to burden my parents with me having to be a rock for them. Kids were too young to hear dad's upset or whatever, so you bottle everything up. So it is nice to speak to people like you privately, just you and I, as you promised this is.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's seen this, don't worry.
But no, I mean, it is an important thing. So yeah, it's hard. And equally, I mean, I don't want to dwell on sort of the experience with the show, but the conversations that's opened. So, for example, I had a friend of mine who I was doing A-levels with, and she sent me the most unbelievable message. Now, I see her occasionally, her and her husband and the kids in the village. We'd never have this sort of conversation, but she said when she was 17 and she started doing her A-levels, she was in a really bad place. I can remember I used to have a laugh and banter with her, but she said it helped me so much through. I mean, she put it so eloquently. It was really moving, helped her through her studies and that time of life, and helped her feel better about herself. And you thought, wow, just by that show and having that conversation, I never knew that I'd even had any impacts on her. I thought I just annoyed her in class over those years, So communication is a massive thing for all aspects, and equally one of the most important things in relationships, I think, as well, which we need to relate to.
Yeah, I think I've been guilty of that in probably nearly all of them, and I think it's very difficult because women and guys think very differently, don't they? Anyway, about situations, and guys will deal with things in completely different ways to women do. And so I think you have that crossfire of sort of both of you are trying to give each other a message, but in completely different ways, and it's always missed sometimes. Have you found that?
Yeah, very much so. I think men and women are very different. And equally, I think fathers of girls are very different to fathers of boys, because one of my best mates, he's had 3 boys, are great to play football. One of them's gone pro, the other one, it's great how they've invested, but they're not relationship, but what they do and how they interact is very different to how I do with my daughters. So I've read a few books about raising girls and that sort of thing, but my daughter's personalities are so different from one another. I don't think there's any textbook, and equally every person and every woman and every man are different. So you do really need to have that skill of communication to make a relationship. And as you said, you probably failed at it in the past. I certainly have as well, I'm sure, where I haven't perhaps felt comfortable in going into detail about my personal circumstances. And if I've gone out on a date, I just wanted to be jovial and just having a laugh, and perhaps wanted to escape from the responsibilities of, you know, being a dad, being a carer, and whatever else I had going on in my life. So I didn't let them see what was happening in my life, and subsequently, they probably, because I didn't communicate that with them, they probably didn't really connect with me because they thought I was just joking and laughing and never really had that empathy of my situation. And equally, I probably didn't delve into theirs as well, you know. So, but we all learn every day, don't we? So,
Definitely. And I think it's very difficult as well, because when you first start dating someone, spoke about this with someone the other day. That's why I think the 3-month mark is always a prominent time in a relationship when you're first starting out, where a lot of relationships sort of stop or continue, because that's when you've probably spent enough time to start getting beyond the surface and finding out more about the person. Because in the beginning, you don't want to offload everything on the first couple of dates, because I mean, I think that's just as much as a turn off anyway.
yeah, I think the other thing as well, I always felt, I don't know if you had this, was because time was so short, didn't want to rush relationships, but getting to that 3 month stage and opening up. And I briefly watched, only for a couple of minutes, a podcast. I think it was Heather Graham had done, and it was about women's relationship, what we're doing now, but from the other side. And what the lady on there said was the crucial thing that she had found was to wait ages until you have sex, because if you have sex with the partner, you're confused. You already, you know, you've got that emotional and physical attraction there and the sexual chemistry and everything going on, but you've never got to the depth of that mental attachment. So if you've got to a few months where you haven't, you know, carried out anything sort of sexual, you know, you've got each other mentally and emotionally, everything else. Whereas she was saying, it was quite deep actually, it was quite good. But for me, dating 3 months, I probably have only seen them 3 times in that period, so it
Yeah,
takes a
exactly.
long time. And so it's just been very hard for me to date. And as I say, I've tried to read and learn, whether it's books about raising girls, whether it's women's perspectives on relationships, but everyone is different and everyone's situation is different. So I think you've just got to find that person you connect with, bond with, and hopefully it will make us happy. Are you dating, Elliot? Because I know you've put the camera on me here, so you can cut
Yeah,
this out.
no. You can ask away. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm dating now,
Are you?
and for me, I think a lot of it is about timing, because
Yeah.
I look back over sort of my dating history, as it were, and I've met some fantastic girls, women that I think if I met now, it would work. But just at that time in that place, it for some reason, it just didn't work. And I think you've both got to be in the same place at the same time, and then load more stuff to do with that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I met a girl, and I went on a couple of dates, only a couple of dates. We had some mutual friends. She was lovely. Yeah, we went out for a nice meal. She came round here and she brought me a house plant, beautiful. Said she's going over to Spain to visit her mom. Sent me a text message and said she's decided to stay there for 12 months. So she was probably one of the few ladies I've met in the 3 years where I thought, oh, you know, she understands my situation. This could develop very well. But all I've got is a house plant from the relationship. And it is a nice house plant, to be fair, but
Well,
hoping for a little bit more. Maybe I'll get a free holiday in Spain. You know, she
that's,
sent me a lovely
well,
message actually, so
Spain's a
you
lot
never
quicker
know.
to get to than some places in England, so you might be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And listen, 12 months can go really. Are you still in contact with her?
Only on a friendly basis. Yeah, I'm sure her life. I mean, would you come back? To be honest with you, if you went to live in Spain, looking outside now in the rain and dark?
Oh, not now. I probably wouldn't
Yeah.
now. But so you're dating wise, when you said you've met people organically, where would that be? Was that through your work or just generally
Well,
out and
yeah.
about?
I mean, I used to meet a lot of people through work, but I wasn't really single then. And then I sold my business to look after my parents and my daughters. So that really reduced my social circle of meeting new people, as it were. But still, people know you. See, Andy's a nice guy. Have you met so? I mean, even this morning I went in the co-op and the lady said there, "Oh, we've seen you on the show. There's a lady in tomorrow who's single. Will you come back tomorrow?" So people do invest in you. If they think you're a nice guy and their friend's nice lady, then they'll try and matchmake. So I've met people like that, and people who I've perhaps known in the past who are single and we've just chatted. Very often, I just sit here at night bored, and people you just interact with on your social media. And as I say, I briefly went on Bumble for a little bit and met a few people off there, which was great. But the problem I had with that was it's geographically based. So where I live, it's quite a small area, and I know most people. So when I go on holiday, for example, I went with my daughters to Rome. It was pinging off all the time, and it was amazing. There was one lady who was from Beverly Hills working at the American Embassy, and she said, "Can I take you out for dinner?" And I thought, gosh, I wish I was there on my own just for a night, with a mate. Someone like that even talking to me. It was like, I thought it was a prank at first. I thought one of my mates had hacked it or something. So when you travel, it's different. But as I say, I live in a small town. I probably know most people here. And so those sort of dating apps probably aren't really for me. And I'm happy to meet someone out of the area, but I don't think you can, unless I'm not working it properly, do that really. But I have met some nice people off there, more friendship than anything, to be honest.
Yeah, so my experience with that was the same as yours, that you tend to get matched to the nicest people that live like 2 hours away. And it's okay doing it once or twice, but it then becomes more of a sort of task to actually find time to see each other, because it's 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So it's like a lot of time as well. So
Yeah,
because one of the questions I always get asked is from women is like, where can they go to meet nice guys?
I watched that in Boys in the Hood. I don't know actually where you would go. I mean, if you're out in a pub, for example, at this age, it's not the thing to go up and approach people. I mean, funnily enough, I was at a party on Saturday, which was like a reunion thing, and that was all people of sort of my sort of age, and we all knew each other from perhaps 20 years ago. So that was quite a nice environment. And I suppose people then, if you're talking, it might come out that people, but it was like a one-off event, that sort of thing. So it's very, very hard to meet people. I mean, people join running clubs, don't they? That seems to be a popular thing, the tennis club and doing things like that. From my point of view, I just didn't have the time to do any of that, So I don't know where you would go to meet people. And equally, you'd need that regularity of going out. I mean, if you just went out once a month,
it's hit and
chances
miss.
are of meeting someone, yeah. And if you did see them, and perhaps they were a single mom who has the kids every other weekend, their sync might not go with yours. You might not see them again. So, when you were younger, you used to go every Friday, Saturday. You'd see a lady one week. Next week, I'm going to speak to her, and then you'd build a relationship. Now it's so hard to say, get consistency of meeting people unless it is through work, which I don't meet anyone through work now, just with the consultancy that I do, really. So yeah, I mean, you tell me. Where do you meet a nice lady these days?
So I tend to sort of, I'm really lucky that I can go into London sort of from where I am. So, it's a big city. There's loads going on. So there's probably more opportunities. But I think if you live somewhere that's a very small village, you've then got to sort of make the effort to travel out more. But then again, sometimes if you've been at work all week and like you say, especially I've found, not so much now, because I mean, Zach's probably my best friend anyway. So we tend to go out with each other still and do stuff together. But when he was younger, if most of the time on the weekends he was with me because of the football and everything else, I never went out because I just thought for me, I think if you've got your kids, you don't put anything in front of them because that's what comes first. And I think that's probably from watching the show with everyone's kids. I think that's what's really resonated with me is how lovely all of our kids are and how they all seem to have those same values installed in them. And I think it probably says a lot about the people that are going on there and the way that they parent their kids as well, which I think is really good. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, there's some lovely kids on there. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, a couple of them I haven't been able to meet, but
Yeah.
they've messaged me and said they probably sent this to every dad. You're the one dad I really wanted to meet, and it just made me feel so warm inside. And when you come out, I mean, you feel so weird, but they come up to you, oh, it's lovely watching you. You're so nice to my mum, my dad, whatever. And now we're all messaging on Instagram. I mean, some of the older kids on there are lethal. You know, we take the mickey out of each other, and I love it because I've never had a son, and I like that sort of banter. It's very different to, you know, with your daughters. So, I mean, Ellis on there, he's so funny, and Malachi and Lucas, just messaging them all, really, you know. But the girls are great fun as well. It's great, you know. That is something I've really enjoyed. In fact, it's
Yeah.
probably one of the best aspects of it. You know, meeting all those kids, building that relationship, and equally the relationships, obviously with all the adults in there that
Yeah.
are so invested. Even my mom's got sort of daddy on her Instagram, their direct messaging. It's great. It's given her such a boost of life. But yeah, probably you going back to you living in London, that is a big plus. I mean, I would, you know, happily and probably will in the future move away from here. I mean, daughters have got plans to move, and, you know, so there will eventually be no ties here. But I am going out in London on Saturday. But unfortunately, I'm going with Paul, and everyone's just going to be talking about his nose, so I'm not going to get a lucky unless I
Well,
get a plastic nose for the night.
from my experience of going out with Mr. Edwards, mate, you won't see a lot of him anyway, so don't worry about it.
Oh, good, good.
He puts his fences up very early, and you'll understand what I mean by that when you go out with him, and there's no getting in. Trust me.
I'll make sure he gets the first round then, and that'll do. I'll
He's
leave
great
it to
like
that
that.
advice.
Yeah, Paul's a very, very generous guy as well.
Oh,
Last few questions, Dave. So what are you like? What are you like being single? Because this was something that I spoke about the other day, and I said single people have got, for me, have got very strong characters. They're very independent because to be single, like, you know, we have for so long, I think you've got to be very comfortable in your own skin. Do you find that with yourself?
I'm a very emotional person, and I hide that very much. And being single, it's probably made me thick-skinned and a bit colder because you never have anyone to share anything with. You know, I mean, other mates, if I rang them up and said, oh, I've had a bad day or I've got this going on, they have as well. They're not really interested, to be honest with you. So you haven't got anyone invested in you to share. And as I say, I haven't got a big family where I can share that with. I sort of take the burden. So I would say I've probably put up a lot more barriers and a lot, not colder, but protective of myself. Once I meet someone who is the right person, I would imagine once I drop that facade and let them in, it would be quite a gushing experience, which might be good or bad for them. But that's the sort of connection you want, isn't it? Where you are just completely open and there's a flow of energy, emotions, love, happiness, jokes, everything between, you know, the two of you. And I think that's hard to find, but it's not impossible.
I completely agree. So I'm sure you've been asked this a few times. Have you got like an ideal woman, or will you know what it is when you find it, or what she is when you found her, or have you got a picture in your head of?
Not really. I mean, I think they quoted me as looking for Kate Moss, was me. I think
Aren't we
that was
all?
growing up in the 90s. Yeah, remember? I mean, I'm not going, you know, too high on my standards, but no, in the 90s, you know, in the Face magazine and the Calvin Klein adverts, and very much into fashion. And I think she wears Burberry, so you never know. If I'm wearing this now, it might be an opportunity. But sort of, I like all sorts of ladies. I think the most important thing is that they are genuine, caring, have a good sense of humour, nice smile, nice eyes, and they just have an energy that matches yours, really. You know, that's so I can't really say this height, that height, this colour hair. I
Yeah.
mean, two ex-partners, one was blonde, the last partner I've been with a long time was brunette, and blonde girl was very tall, brunette was quite a short lady, and they were both just very different looking, but both beautiful. And I think, as I say, as long as they've got a beautiful soul, that's what matters, really.
So I'll write down Andy's not fussy.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Now that's a good quality to have,
I
mate.
don't know
Let
how
me
to
tell you.
come back to that. I think I am probably too fussy. Having seen myself back on TV, I definitely am because I look terrible.
I think it's how you see yourself, because I think you look great. And we did me and Zach did a little podcast about you the other day. Actually, well, it was about the show, but we did say on there that if there was one of the girls that you was talking to, I haven't got my sheet of names with me, that if she'd got a hold of you, I'd have been worried for your safety. Let me say.
Yes, there's a few in there that might be the case with. But, they're absolutely lovely girls, really nice ladies.
They all look great. So just to finish up on, if for the women audience out there, if they're looking at going on dating sites or dating, what would be one thing or a couple of things that you'd say is definitely a do for a first date or when you're on a dating site that you should do?
It's easier said than done. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is honesty, because I remember when I met a girl for a date, and she actually had a husband and she was just looking for a bit of fun. Now, if I was a young man, and I don't know, would have been different, but I'm a mature dad. I didn't want to get involved with that. So honesty of pictures and what you're looking for and your situation is probably the key thing, really, because I know people, it's like a CV, isn't it? People will put the best bits in about them, but wouldn't it be refreshing if people actually put as much as you can, real, and their flaws and their good points as well. But I suppose everyone, looking on there, there's thousands of people. How are you going to make yours stand out? And we're all so shallow. You only look at the pictures, So I think it's very hard to say what people can do. It would be great, perhaps, if there was more video interaction like this, so you could hear people's voices, you could see their energy. That might be a good thing.
Yeah, I think a couple of them have started to do that. I mean, on the picture, on the pictures. Funny enough, Tia's down with us this week. That was on our show, so she comes down and stays with me and Zach. Which was one of the best things to come out of it for me, was the friendship the kids have made. And she was showing me the other day, like, these are AI apps that all the girls are using, and I guess the guys now, for their pictures. Dude, honestly, it blew my mind. It was like she got a picture of herself. She was moving her eyes further apart and literally, it was still her, but it wasn't her. And
like a robot.
It was just like you could do everything. Change the bridge of your nose, change your nostrils, change the size of your lips, change it, like your cheekbones, and like you couldn't tell it had been done. And it was like these apps that people are using. And like, you just think, what chance have you got? You actually do need to someone, like, because you could think you're talking to Kate Moss, and you might find that you're talking to Albert down the road, who's about 86, and looks nothing like that. It was incredible.
Wow, no, I haven't explored that, or experienced it, thankfully. But
you might.
Well,
the
AI
AI
good tonight. If you've done a little bit on tonight,
I walk around with an AI mask on. That's the way.
It's doing it for you. Looking good, mate.
That's the only chance I've got. That was a really good things to do, actually, mate. So, how about a don't? Is there
what, in terms of what they
dating sites or turning up on first dates or during dating, for a woman, if they were asking a guy, say, look, give me a bit of advice, what shouldn't I do, that's going to make a man run a mile?
This sounds terrible, because she was a lovely girl that I went on a date with, but she'd recently become a mom, and she had the baby with her. So I would probably say that's not probably because I thought I couldn't be a father again to a young baby and go through, I'm too old for the sleepless nights. So that's probably not something that I would encourage.
Don't turn up with a baby.
And I went on another date, which was fantastic, and she's still a friend now, and it was very platonic. Someone had set this up through mutual friends. And she turned up with a driver who was a security guard, and he was quite an intimidating guy. So
on the who drove her there?
Yeah. Pardon?
She
turned up with this guy, and he came in and checked me out. He was like a driver stroke security guard, and
What did he start patting you down?
He used to be like a prison guard or prison, and he was like, gosh, I was the most, I mean, I am a gentleman anyway, but I tried to go different level with this lady. But we've laughed about it since, but it was quite strange, that was. So those two, just being jovial, I suppose. But on a more generalized basis, I don't know. I mean, I quite like people to be quirky and different. You know, I don't know if you watch that Celebs Go Dating, for example. Do you ever watch
I
that
do,
show?
yeah. Yeah.
What's the guy in there who was in the Barbie movie? Who was in Love Island before? He was a bit quirky guy with the quiff, and
I haven't
I
seen that
forget what
one,
his
no.
name is. He's so funny because he's unusual. He asks questions people haven't asked before, and dating can be very dull, can't it, and mundane. People want to
Yeah.
ask you, what do you do for a living? But I want to chit chat until you get to a level of trust where you can share a lot more deep and meaningful conversations. But I think just be light-hearted and don't get too serious too soon, really. You know, we've all got problems. Don't go on a first date and pour out your, oh God, my ex did this, or blah, 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 and tell me exactly what, you know, you don't want, and just go with the flow, see if you connect, see if you have a laugh, and all that can be further down the line. So don't be too serious too soon, I think.
But honestly, Andy, listen, I want to just thank you for coming on today and giving up your time. You haven't given any secrets away about the show, so ITV, not worry. I'm looking forward to it this week and seeing how it ends up for you. And I hope you find happiness, if not from that show, through the course of everything else. And then I'm sure you'll be inundated with messages on your Instagram for your DMs. So have fun with that. That's if you survive the night with Paul, obviously on Saturday, and enjoy that as well. So, Annie, thank you so much for coming on, guys. This is 50 Shades in Grey. Today's with Andy Pearce off My Mum, Your Dad. So you can go and watch that. It's all out this week, and you can binge watch all of the series as well. So go over, watch that. I'm going to put all of his details on there so you can follow him as well. He puts some great stuff on there. And he'd love you to DM him if you want to go out because he can take his time and go through that.
I did a little spoiler this morning, actually, Elliot. We had a Radio WM come and interview Izzy and I this morning, and I think they were digging for, some spoilers. All of a sudden upstairs is a creaking, and it was my daughter Chloe getting out of bed, and I said, oh God, you're going to see which girl I've ended up now with from the retreat. And they were like, I said, is it Maria? And they were so disappointed when Chloe came downstairs. I said, but yes, it's amazing how many people want to know, what's happened with her, what's happened with him. So but this week everyone can watch it and enjoy, and it's quite a journey this week. There's quite a lot of fun, emotion, romance, so it's all good.
I'll look forward to watching, mate. And once again, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe and follow, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.